Okay, so it says the fifth house is the house of children and pleasure. Medieval astrologers thought children represented the wealth of the father in whom he found pleasure. As the second house from the fourth house, it represents the money of the father. The fifth house is important to assess in matters of fertility and pregnancy. It can greatly assist in telling the story of a person's fertility potential. As a house of children, it also represents all things that give us the opportunity to feel childlike. It's a house of sports, games, entertainments, parties, theaters, clubs, and all the places in which we find pleasure. As a house of pleasure, it can also be a house where we overdo pleasure. This includes gambling and overindulgence. It is a house of eating and drinking. However, he says that the second house is the house of food, whereas the food we eat to survive, versus the fifth house is just the food that we like to eat and really enjoy. Then he talks about how he was saying that when he was learning Indian astrology, he was taught that the seventh house was the house of arranged marriage, whereas the fifth house was the house of love marriage. But he said that our boyfriends and husbands are both found in the seventh house, as well as our sweethearts and the people we have infrequent sexual relationship with. German occultist and physician Henry Cornelius Agrippa, in his fourth book of occult philosophy, wrote, "The seventh house signifies wedlock, whoredom, and fornication." As we can see, the seventh house covers the entire spectrum of intimate connection. Any carnal adventure we have with another person falls under the dominion of the seventh house in Western astrology. While the fifth house may tell us whether the native views romance as a source of pleasure, it's not a house that has a bearing on our romantic life in general. Strictly speaking, our children are the only people the fifth house consistently represents. Venus represents the pleasure derived from engaging with the public, entertainment, and the great fortune of having a comfortable life. And at the end, where it says the core significations of the house, it says children, pleasure, games, gambling, ambassadors, clubs, bars, restaurants, parties, banquets, eating and drinking for pleasure. So yeah, like I said, I feel like maybe the fifth house gets some of the natural significations, of course, even from Venus, because Venus rejoices in the fifth house, and Venus is definitely the planet of love and sex. But he argues in this book that for real, when it comes to matters of love or sex or romance or anything, like, we should just ignore the fifth house, which is interesting. And like somebody else in the comments said, they were saying like, well, maybe the fifth house is associated with relationships and romance, because again, when you're dating, that's when you're going out to eat, that's when you're going to have fun. Like, a lot of times you do these fun things with your romantic partner. But yeah, let me know what y'all think.